that much.
No, not really.
So
let's go ahead and get these players introduced. Top left-hand side, the Protoss out of Korea from CJ Entis. It is herO.
herO has always been a cool guy to follow. The ace player CJ, as Moonglade was telling us. His opponent, the Blue Zerg player representing My Insanity. My Insanity's a lot of successful players in DreamHack when you think about it. He is Sacsri.
Looking to perhaps score an upset, but how big an upset we'll have to wait and see. And, again, I have to apologize. I was talking about Sacsri like he's one of the Kespa guys that came over. He's absolutely not. I do, as my memory kind of gets declouded, as it were, I remember the whole talk about him joining My Insanity and coming over. And as Nathaniel's talked about, they've had a lot of good success here. Stardust, who's actually missing, is a DreamHack champion. Well, when I say missing, by the way, I mean missing from his tournament.
Yeah, like Sacsri, one of Sacri's first tournaments with My Insanity, as far as I recall, was that DreamHack that he won this year. And then I think it was one of Stardust's first tournaments with My Insanity that he took DreamHack Summer last year. But herO, he's a multiple-time champion. He's not one of the Kespa players that you look at and you say, well, is he prepared for traveling and playing in tournaments? Because this has been the downfall of some other guys like Cure recently, who played his first non-Korean tournament, and I would say other players like Trust have had difficulty playing outside Korea, but herO has already had lots of success, and I don't think that that's one of the things to look at as far as, what's the difference between these two guys.
It's a really good point and an interesting talking point that you bring up, because it certainly is true. We've had some players go abroad even, and their results just kind of plummeted. And we've had a lot of, innovation makes the exodus back into Korea. And when asked why, it's because he specifically said, like, I need to play the best StarCraft I can possibly play. That's what I want to do. People talk about Jaedong. They talk about the Kespa Jaedong that was one of the absolute best players on the planet. And then a lot of his diehard fans are like, with EG, he's not that guy. And there's points to be made on both sides, but it's interesting. And then there's guys that really destroy the trend, by the way, like your Violets and your Polts that move abroad and somehow get better, kinda. Especially Violet.
It actually doesn't make sense, because you look at some of the players that they beat, and you're like, well, Polt's been playing in America the last year. And then he beats Parting. You're like, well, that doesn't really make any sense.
Well, he beats everybody. That's the thing. He does it at WCS. He does it at these international tournaments. Again, it's funny because people are like, oh, yeah, NA is so bad. And certainly ladder-wise, it is the worst ladder that you can play on, I guess. Well, not technically. Anyways, I digress. The point is,
it's not where you go to train for competition.
You can train internationally. You can train on the Korean ladder, and then you can go travel to tournaments where you're still playing top-notch people and get those results. So it's kind of interesting. But getting into the game here a little bit, we see a very fast Twilight Council. It's on the right side of the base. It's semi-hidden.
Kespa Protoss is like their blinks, though, don't they? Didn't we see? It was on this map. I think I might have been joking with it about with Apollo about it yesterday. There was a match. It might have been one of herO's games, something like that. Just they like to hammer in these really heavy blink aggression without too much tech behind it.
Well, Nathanius, this is a deja vu moment. It's this exact map, this exact player, herO, and this is his build. He'll go fast blink. No gases at the natural. He'll stop at roughly 16 supply. And then what he did last time against
was
Hyun.
it 4 gates yesterday, I think? He didn't go crazy
4 or
on
5.
it.
He goes to the right side here, and he chops down the rocks, and he kind of works back and forth from there. It's a very disappointing game, because that was one of the games where, now that I remember, actually, Moonglade and I'm trying to remember this, it was that game and then the Warp Prism game on Merry-Go-Round, but it was just like Hyun misresponded both times, and they ended up being a pretty bad series. This is such fast blink, by the way. It's not like this is easy to hold off. Did you just...
It's all good, man. I got a microphone micro. Don't worry. No one will ever know about that except you, Jeff.
I don't know that that's true.
Roachforn is on the way for Sacsri. He's going up to 6 gateways, though, Jeff. This is more than the 4 that I
Zergling
predicted.
gets in. It's going to scout this out, but honestly, seeing the 3 or 4 Stalkers mid-map pretty much confirms. This just, well, it gets him close to confirming it. This confirms it, but he sees those 6 gates like you pointed out, and that means that he knows what he's facing. So let's see what his responses
Has he started
were.
the roaches early enough? Like this Zergling, I don't even know how this guy got inside, but he saw everything. Sure. Now there's a Dark Shrine on the way.
It's not actually, like, the roaches are nice, but you can do it with Speedlings and Queens, like we saw Hyun kind of begin to do. Ooh, and a Dark Shrine immediately after that. Very interesting.
Yeah, I think this, of course, it gives you a good follow-up if the Zerg player commits too much to defending against just the Blink Stalker play, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I don't actually have spores, and because of the awkward defensive position you put in, I don't think he has a lair either, does he?
He does not.
Yeah, so without the tech, he could
I'm
buy
checking
himself
here.
a lot of time.
He has some vision, but he didn't like send in a hallucination, so I don't know how he knows this. But to answer your question earlier, Nathanius, and to put a stamp on it, Sacsri just stomped this, okay? He pushed back the Protoss hard. He gets the proxy pylon.
Yeah.
There's no gas at the natural. Darkstride's about to finish. Yeah, there's no lair. But holy crap, did the DTs have to do a lot of damage. And they're going to have to do it from across.
Yes.
Oh, no, there's pylons on the left side.
There's pylons on the bottom left.
Okay.
But
so he might lose the third. He's going to have to go to each base. There has to be a lot of damage done because our Protoss player is in a lot of trouble right now.
Yeah, he's warping in Zealots defensively. herO's trying to hold this off in control. I'm sure this is a situation you're very familiar with.
Almost never, Nathanius. I win every game I play.
How do you spread the DTs out in control when you're a little bit behind?
Well, there he goes. He's got one coming in. Actually, a big problem here is he can only afford the two. He doesn't have gas at the natural. He's just now starting to mine it, but there's so much knocking at his door. He almost has to think about warping in defensive DTs.
Yeah, he does.
The two DTs are going to make their way to the natural.
One
There's
defensive Dark Templar. He's completely walled in now. The Roaches pick off one of the pylons, which also shuts down the gateway production. Now the Dark Templar are split between the bases. Immediately, Spore Crawlers start up. The lair has finished, but Overseers take a little bit of time. And this is a very intense moment here for herO as he's starting to finally lose some probes, too.
Pretty intense, but mostly the DTs are going after the Spore Crawlers themselves. And as you said, the Overseers are being morphed in. So yeah, you're going to stop the Spore Crawler from coming in, but who cares? The DT at the natural is now working at the hatchery itself. If you look at the Harvester's loss, he's lost a total of 4. Not a big deal. Meanwhile, at the natural of the Protoss player, the wall's been chopped down, and probes are starting to get target fired by Sacsri. There is a 21 supply advantage, no third behind this. I'm loving this play.
Sacsri wrecked this build from herO.
You can say it. I know you want to.
He wrecked it.
There it is, Nathanius. You're allowed one. Sacsri's in an amazing position. A couple more, well, actually, Stalkers warped in outside that third, but the Harvester count is disgusting. It's 55 to 44.
This is not a fun place to be for herO. Like, you add on, what is he just adding on gateways? It's going to be like one more pump on this one.
Oh, he lost the wall. That's why he has to do it.
Yeah. He doesn't really have a lot going behind this.
There's not a lot of Zerg, too. Point to be made here. There's now 8 Stalkers outside the base, and Archon even joining. Mostly Lancers. They do get a pin there, though, a blink back to try and save their lives, but a couple of Stalkers will go down, and he sees, wait a second.
Once the Roaches get out, like you get a little bit better spot. Of course, one of the problems is you don't have the creeps not spread out too much further, though. And without that creep spread, before Roach speed finishes, it's a bit difficult to dance with these Protoss units.
Well, it's just a few moments here until that Roach speed does finish, but I do agree with you, Nathanius. Otherwise, it's hard to hold off. But in a second, the floodgates are going to open. 30 supply advantage is still being maintained here, and that Archon does not have Blink, as it were, so it's going to actually soak up some damage, but eventually it will get targeted down like that. The Stalker count, not super high. Also, by the way, keep in mind, no upgrades on these units. The Zerg player 2 doesn't have any upgrades, so it's not like that's the biggest of deals, but it just means that it's another category where I can't give the advantage to the Protoss.
Yeah, not a lot of things going in favor of herO. I mean, he built that forge earlier on, not really doing anything with it. Stalkers come up once more. I like this. He's distracting him while he sends 2 DTs into the natural. There's actually no detection here, so the hatchery just focused down. This is every little bit that he can get here is so important. Is the Queen close enough yet? Is there going to be a transfuse? No.
Just gets it. It does cost 2 DTs here as long as
it's a nice pickoff. It's a lot. It's a whole mineral line that those drones don't have access to, and of course, having the workers still alive is nice, but you can't really mine these bases much more efficiently. And now the Zerg forces, he's forced to do something about it. Road speed being done is nice, but the blink, Stalkers get away, everything else dies. herO's still way down in supply, though.
It was a nice move. Certainly, 2 DTs for an entire expansion is something that you don't look at and say was bad. The problem is, this is all following up from herO's kind of disastrous early game, or more characteristically to be put, Sacri's very brilliant early game. So that's the beginning of a comeback for herO, but I don't know. It might be too little too late. He's got a probe posturing for a third. He's warping units to the natural. There's no wall in here, by the way, so he's going to have to do straight-up combat if Sacsri chooses to take a fight here.
Well, this starting to get towards that point where he really needs the third because the main base is going to be running out of resources soon. A lot of those patches are going to start to get low, and then once you can't afford to continuously warping off these gateways, that Zerg production just overwhelms you, and Sacsri isn't really giving herO any time to get comfortable.
Knocking on that back door, looking to get
does
in
he
there.
have? Does he have like any like a good sentry backbone? Is he just going to break down these rocks and kill his natural?
He's going to try. He's up close to 50 supply now. Third does go down in the background for herO. herO knows that he's behind, and he has to take risks. And we're going to say, well, you have no way of defending that. No, not really, but if he can buy enough time with these Stalkers, there's another Warpin of Zealots coming in here at the third. He's just trying to earn time for himself. The problem is, this game's been simplified. Sacsri's just adding more Roach and Ling. He's not even mining the gas at his natural or his third. By the way, his natural's not even finished yet. He was kind of delayed on that. He just has all supply army. And once that gets over to the third, it's going to be so hard for herO to hold off.
Especially without the sentries. Now there's immortal production going in, and immortals are good versus roaches. But if the roaches get on top of the immortal, then it's it's not really it's not really what you're looking for. Okay, there he just warps in a bunch of sentries, somewhere probably back towards that natural expansion.
5 there at home.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind, if herO can just, I guess, forever pick off Overseers, a couple of DTs can hold off Roaches. But at some point, that becomes an unreliable task.
herO's really going to try to grind this one out, and if he gets to third base, if it's just Roach Ling, this is such a low-tech army. If all he really needs after this is going to be 1 or 2 good fights, if those Immortals can be in a good spot with the force fields. But even that is still asking, I feel, for a lot of herO.
Uh-oh, trap sprung. Zergling's got this army out here. He does have burrows, so his force fields aren't nearly as good. He's going to try to do what he can, but it's just the one Immortal. Sentry's the soft underbelly. Meanwhile, there's Stalkers out fighting mid-map against Roach as well. They're losing that fight. And this does not look good for herO.
Borrowed Roach is the slowest death that could come in. The first Immortal killed, the second one destroyed as well. And that's really the most of the backbone of this army. The Dark Templar, as you'd mentioned, being defensively very useful. And Overseer does finally come in to help kill that. But Sacsri's taken down every single nice, expensive, important unit. And the third base also being completely ravaged and destroyed by the Zerglings is too much.
Well said, Nathaniel. Without the Immortals and the Sentries, there's not much he can do. He taps out. And Sacsri, off the back of a very solid, well-played game, he scouts out the early Blink Stalker opening and just, really nice control with the Roaches. And
it's just that's
not a bad strategy. Nathaniel, tell us about these guys, please.
Well, they both play StarCraft. They're both pretty good at the game. This guy in particular in the top right was probably first known by the non-Korean scene because he was that guy that actually said, pause. He said GLHF to Stefano to keep him from getting kicked out.
He's adorable.
I believe he was that guy. He's a good guy. He's CJ Entis' herO.
Handsome devil, by the way. As I understand, he's single, ladies or men. Take note. Lower left-hand side, his opponent recently relocating to Switzerland to live out the dream. It is my insanity, Sacsri, a DreamHack champion.
The dream.
Now, Nathaniel's quick story about herO that I'm obligated to tell as the caster. Did you know that in the in the Heart of the Swarm beta, your very own In Control actually defeated herO in a PvP match?
Nice.
Can I ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, how impressed are you?
Did he know what oracles were? Did you just build one?
I didn't know what oracles were.
Okay.
I think it was just gateways. The maps are ridiculous. There's no
I'm mildly impressed.
Okay.
I heard there was someone, was it Flash or someone that was like they played Heart of the Swarm without knowing what any of the new units were and just won not building them? I think it was Flash in an interview.
That doesn't sound too surprising.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't know. He's like, I actually didn't build Widow Mines or any of those other units. Like, I actually just did Marine Tank and won every single one of my games in like Master League. Like,
let me take it a step further. Did you know that Flash is 22 years old?
Huh.
Does that make you feel a little bit weird that at 21?
At 21, I've accomplished so little. Flash's like been around the world, won the biggest tournaments.
I've considered a god.
I've talked about the game, praying to be as good as him.
Yeah.
Yo, what did I say, man? Okay, it's not his opponent's base, but it's a base that's not his normal base.
This is not a base to take.
It's not a regular base.
He chased him over here to block the attempt.
Yeah. I mean, this pro, I imagine, whenever I play Protoss, I always feel so clever when I do this, where I'm like, I'm going to block you a base because I can't cannon rush you. Yeah. And then I like go back home like, oh, okay, I expanded, and all of a sudden you're like, how do you have so much stuff? And then that's when you realize, a little bit too late, that your opponent has in fact taken the gold, and there's not really anything you can do about it because all you've done is actually give them the Zerg. You force them to make more money than they otherwise normally would.
Yep. And you're...
This makes me hate my life.
You're doing a pretty good job of analyzing Protoss right now because you're very astute. The pylon block of the natural is good. The pylon block of the third means that herO has no idea that what immediately happened was the gold went down. And there's like no delay here.
Yeah.
If this probe dies or is chased off without finding the third, or well, I don't even know what to call it a third, it's just the gold base. It's actually the natural, I suppose. Well, anyways, if he doesn't find this, which he does, it would have been really bad. But he sees that, sees it's about to finish, like, ah, crap. That second pylon had no purpose whatsoever.
Yep. He's invested a lot of resources to delay an economy that will end up being boosted. Yeah. Anyway, now, of course, he did take his regular natural expansion. He's not going to go for some sort of super mega crazy transfer all your drones to the gold base and then go for a really fast push.
Nobody is transferring 4, and
you're just going to play with a nice economy, which is, I mean, not really many negatives to the gold base if you can get it safely this early on.
I once saw Life take both the gold bases. Doesn't that sound like exactly what Life would do?
I wasn't sure if you were about to say Life or Cats, because I've seen him do that. I've actually seen him take... I've seen Cats take all of bases on the other side of the map before he takes any of his own.
Watching Cats play is a lot like taking a hallucinogenic drug and then playing StarCraft. Like whatever happens is a warped reality of what should happen.
My lawyers advised me not to comment on that.
He's GM on Korea. He just played in ST. Took 3 games off him. It's pretty cool. Anyways, love Peruvian
people
Cats.
like Sue use his crazy builds. So
well, don't let his head get too big. We gotta keep that guy under control here.
So a Zealot is going to come over here and be like, please stop mining this gold. I don't want to be behind. And the Queen's like, okay, you have to leave now. So,
and he does have to leave.
That's he's going to dive on that creep. See, that's I would find this mildly frustrating.
Zealot dies for it. It's interesting.
Nope, doesn't lose anything.
Yeah.
Technically loses the Zealot for free because the creep turn doesn't even cost minerals, Jeff.
Oh, wow.
What a sick trade.
You are getting all economic on this. Soccer's going to peruse the main base, looking for a scouting overlord. Yep, our observer here showing us the Roach Horn. We just see a fairly
what does herO do? What do you do, man? You're playing Protoss. Tell me what's going through your head when you realize that your opponent has in fact gone up to 3 bases, one of them being a gold, and there's nothing you can do until Warp Gate or maybe an upgrade is done. Because herO's going for Blink, but can he actually kill him? Is there too much income to actually stop?
Can he actually kill him? You guys love those questions. The answer is yes, he can. Is it likely? Probably not. There's 2 different approaches. You can either ignore the gold base altogether because it mines out faster, but also the Zerg's like on edge. They're like, oh god, he's coming after me because I have the gold. So there's that approach, or there's the herO approach that we can see here where you go hyper-aggressive. Some kind of 2-base timing attack. A lot of times we see Immortals and Sentries. This time we're going to see just Blink Stalkers.
Damn, so very similar setup to the last game, except of course he's going to have that +1 this time. Actually, he's going up to 8 gateways.
This probe's a trick. It says, hey, I was going to go take a third.
Like, oh, blast, you've stopped me from taking my third. I'll add another Forge and a Twilight. It's like, no, actually, I'm going up to 8 gates.
Meanwhile, mid-map Observer, fight through the mumblings of Nathanius, look towards that Observer. Not Observer, it's a probe. Drop the pylon, and for some reason the Zerg doesn't have the tower, by the way.
You use the word Observer, though, man. If that creep gets out just a little bit further, I think without an Observer to actually kill that, it becomes very difficult to get a good position on this base. Because those Roaches don't have the speed upgrade yet. They don't. As far as I'm aware, there's not even a lair on the map. So
you're right. You're in the deep hypothetical though, because right now we have these Zerglings finding the Stalkers mid-map. The probe and its pylon have been discovered. It's a little bit weird. He's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, his Blink isn't
feeling
done
weird
yet.
about it right now. He's getting surrounded. He's like, this was maybe not a great idea.
It's like, I was supposed to kill you with this. Can you please stop hurting my units? They don't have the ability to teleport away just yet. Now they do, and they teleport away.
This is a
not a good start
beatdown. There's Stalkers. They're going to hold off over at the natural, but he's warping in defensively. He's like, well, no, wait a second. You understand? I'm supposed to be chasing you. You're supposed to be terrified of me. He recalls back home. It's a lot of Stalkers, by the way. George have to be careful, but, I mean, he's going to trade here a little bit.
Oh, does he force the Stalkers blink out to kill the Roaches, but the Zerglings run in. The blink cooldown timers, passes off, but he does kill a few more of the Stalkers. And
well, this game's again been simplified for Sacsri.
Yeah, the economy is still in far enough an edge of Sacsri. As long as he's hitting his injects, he can get a lot done.
The other pylon.
Where are these Stalkers
led him to the other pylon.
Oh, that Zealot weapon was cute. He still gets on top of the Stalkers, though. Well, that's also frustrating.
Cuter by Sacsri. And with this pylon being found, that means there's no warping ability over here. So the whole army of herO has to come over here and defend, and he does. Supply gap is closing a little bit. The Roaches, as Nathanius pointed out, are still slow. They do not have the speed upgrade.
I think he probably wasn't expecting to get hit in this area. The Zergling's still trying. The Mothership Core actually heads into the range of these Queens. Doesn't have energy to do anything other than just be there and look nice. herO is coming in, but I feel Sacsri, is his economy enough to just overwhelm this? I feel like his unit production should be enough.
There's some warpins coming over from that pylon. Great blink micro from herO so far. He's making it interesting.
These have been actually
He's
some
up
dirty
in supply,
blinks. Look how many
in
of these
fact.
stalkers have no health. Wow.
GG is called out, and that was the quickest that I've been saying something to wrong. I think that was 3 seconds. I was like, there's too much Zerg, he's dead.
Well,
he's winning, he's dead.
it's okay.
He's absolutely dead.
I can't be the only person here that just says everything wrong, so...
No, you haven't said
I'll take
everything
that.
wrong.
To the third and final map of this series, I think it's safe to say, since now both players have lost maps, this guy, as much of a favorite as he is, we've seen a little bit of weakness from him in this series. His attacks, he's been really relying on the heavy aggression. We haven't had the long, drawn-out games, but he's been bringing on the pressure in the last game. It allowed him to tie things up. I'm interested to see what he does on this map, which is equally bad, I think, for macro Protoss play. So he is CJ Entis's herO.
Please, give me book part 2 on Sacsri.
In the bottom position, he's a blue Zerg player, and he
No,
represents...
don't get to the meat of it. No, you got to tell me more about him.
The man who took a DreamHack and not much else. He's here fighting for the Swiss StarCraft 2 team under the banner of many other teammates who've already fallen on a quest to defeat the man who no person would ever liquid-bet that he would be able to defeat.
Good point.
He is my Insanity's Sacsri.
See, now that is a Nathanius opening. That's what I like to hear. Adorable guy.
This makes me wish I had like the Huck compendium of Game of Thrones player intros.
Oh, that's right. I was there. He liked that. People were all about that. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of locked up because you're saying his opponents lost earlier, and it's interesting. There's so many My Insanity players, really good ones. Kane, we saw. This was his first DreamHack. Had a pretty okay. Yeah, Jockchi made it to round of 16.
We met Blisk here, too. He's one of their...
Yeah, that guy dunked on me on the ladder recently. He's like, hey, you know that guy you played that was on the Kiwi Khaki name? I was like, yep. He's like, that was me. And he starts laughing, and I'm like, ha, 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 ha.
I love meeting people who tell me these things in person.
Anyways, no Stardust, though. I think he did the Kespa tournament, but I don't know that interferes with this. I'm not sure. Maybe he's in Korea. Who knows? I don't know his life. Miss him, though. He's a charming guy. Good Protoss. Would have done well here. But it's Sacsri, and he wins game number 1 in pretty dominant fashion. Game number 2, he convinces the legendary caster in control, who's almost never wrong, that he's in a great position, only to die like 3 seconds later. So,
yeah, I mean,
that
guy's pretty much the oracle of PVZ.
He's so smart, so brave.
But him being wrong, I mean, that's just
to give you an idea of how weird it was.
It's an ass move to be wrong.
That's right, absolutely. Quick update for you guys, too, by the way. Hearthstone just finished their second best of 5, so I think we're scheduled to start in about 96 hours for our stage matches, so that's really exciting.
Yeah. They don't use timers, actually, in the tournaments, so they literally
use sundials
take 5
indoors,
years.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Artos is over there. He understands
They also don't use
technology.
Blizzard time, so they do real seconds. When we say 96 hours, we don't mean like 90 hours. We actually mean 96.
Your WCS NA commentator, Nathanius, everybody. Speed Zergling's coming out at decent numbers. There is some drones, though. So when I say decent numbers, we're not talking 20 just yet, but 6. And 6 is a little bit more than the very passive opening Zergs typically go with. 6 is hoping to accomplish something, but it can't. There's a cannon that's about to finish, a decent wall in here. Not sure what he's hoping to do.
In control.
There's like 8 or 10 Zerglings now.
Whenever I play this map against Zerg, I go for a really bad Immortal Sentry Island, and I always fail. Can herO make that work on this map, or is this a map where like it's happened so much that Zergs don't really even think about it anymore?
It's Nathanius. You ask a great question.
Didn't he pretty much did it on this map against Hyun, right? Actually, the Warp Prism play.
The Crusher of Dreams.
That could have been awkward.
And nobody really, like that Zealot's kind of rare. People typically don't make that. Usually it's a probe there, but you can fight down the probe and then get through. And hopefully they don't pylon block. So kind of a cute move for Sacsri, but nothing, you know, he will have speed in a second, so it would have been nice to get in, because then it's like almost game-ending damage. So we saw a moment there that could have been devastating, but it didn't end up coming to be. I'm sorry, what were you asking, though? No, I'm being serious. I actually forgot.
So what do you like from mid-game pushes?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because he went for like the Warp Prism Immortal thingy against Hyun, and
it's tough.
It worked, but You know, is Sacsri that kind of guy that's like, well, I saw that game, or?
Oh, no, he's just rock solid. He's going to go, like, you know, Roachling into Hydra or Roachling into Swarmhost or Muta, something like that. Just very basic. You're not going to see anything super crazy out of him. Here on the flip side, and to your point, what do you do? Because, you know, 2-base timing attacks are so predictable. Unfortunately, you're kind of locked into that. You can't just, like, fight the meta and say, well, I'm going to go take a third. There's a reason why everybody 2-base timing attacks on here, and it's because that third is so absolutely garbage to try and take and hold.
He's already moving up to 4 gateways. I mean, he has the gas in his natural, and I would say without that, 2-base, you know, 4 gateway pushes aren't uncommon, but is there something else he can do? He is just going to take that third. Well, Jeff.
Hey, I'm pretty right sometimes, okay? He is. He's just going to take the third. It is 4 gates, but that's a fine number. He can warp in sentries. He can afford this.
I am also occasionally always right myself. Oh, yes, loses the sentry. Well, that's not fun.
In my defense, I feel like what will justify this, and I'm going to make another prediction. So I'm opening myself up to being like...
It's getting late. Let's just do it.
Exactly. Maybe this just gets trashed. He's going Twilight Council behind it. He'll have up to 4 gates. Roaches and Lings are coming out, so basically, and these aren't defensive, by the way. Don't make any mistake about that. This is to go cancel the third.
Yeah.
I am resting my ego and how correct my integrity, basically, on the fact that we're about to witness why you can't take that third.
I don't disagree. I mean, the big Ling pushes are always nice to see. Actually, a couple of these sentries are stuck inside the main base. He lost one of the other ones earlier, and this Photon Cannon isn't done yet. So the army isn't powerful enough to fight, but without the Nexus being done either, that means no possibility for Photon Overcharge.
He's going to come out here, and lo and behold, there's Roaches behind this.
Yeah, the Roaches are what can deal with the cannon quite nicely. The Nexus, though, once that bad boy finishes, things get a little bit extra complicated. Yeah, he's got the cannon still tucked in.
I'm confident. I think I'm about to be right. Nathanius, hold
on. Well, you know,
There's
getting the
so
sentries.
Much at stake here.
I think the sentries are a much nicer prize, but he still has. I mean, he can't Photon Overcharge and recall to save the sentries. I think Sacsri can get something here no matter what.
Well, he has to. He's leaning out really hard at this. Behind this, there's a lair, sure.
So there's no Photon Overcharge now. If he picks off the Photon Cannon,
was an interesting choice.
That's really cool. It's still it worked, but not for the reason that I thought it would. Like
what worked?
The push.
Oh, I thought you were.
I thought
you meant the recall. I mean, it generally does.
If the sentries don't get stuck there, and he can Photon Overcharge, and he force fields like next to the gateways and locks the sentries in with the Nexus.
Here comes here. He's going to try to do it. Pylon does die, though, so there's no warping ability out here. Sentries are exposed a little bit. Roaches getting force fielded back, though. And
the Zergling reinforcements in the back are what really helped us, because the sentries are still dying, even if the Roaches can't attack. Yeah, well, you said it. He was going to get punished really badly for taking this third base like this, Jeff.
It feels good. It really does. Normally, I don't like watching a Protoss as great as herO get absolutely donked on, but it's like, you can't do this on this map if they just make a bunch of Roaches and Lings.
So we're surprised. We're surprised that Sacsri's has he pretty much done it yet? How much more does he need to do at this point?
Well, he's not really saturating his third. A bunch of drones are coming out now. He's not going to reinforce this. The Nexus will die. That can't be stopped. And I'll tell you what, if it weren't for the fact that there's 4 gateways out on an island out here by themselves, and he had lost like 6 sentries, herO would be in a salvageable position. But with both those things being true,
+2 and Blink
it's not.
Finished, right?
He's dead. He's dead. He's down only 20 supply, or 25, which doesn't seem like much. It's not.
Well, how are these zealots? Okay.
But he's just lost so much. The 5 or 6 sentries is so expensive.
Yeah, well, this War Prism is trying to be the comeback unit for herO. He's gotten a couple zealots in each of the bases. Starts a Dark Shrine, starts an Immortal. Immortals are nice. We're finally seeing from Sacsri, though, we're actually seeing Lair Tech, which...
Yeah.
Is he just going to sit on Roach Ling still, though?
Yeah, just gets Roach's speed.
It's pretty much been Roach Ling from Sacsri in both games, like, entirely.
That's all you need. Against a 2-base timing attack, you shouldn't go much further than that. If you tech the Hydras, that's the absolute way to shut it down, but... There's a soft interim period there where it's like your Hydras are slow, they don't have range, and there's only 6 of them, but you've spent more money than you should have, so it's kind of dangerous. If you just keep going Roach Ling, as long as you have detection and decent saturation at the 3 bases, you should be able to take on most of what you face.
Yeah, with the creep spread moving out like this, and having Roach speed, it just seems to be a little bit too much. Like, losing the sentry. Well, losing the sentries earlier, like, he has sentries, but they don't have a crazy amount of energy. Yeah. Like, even with all of them selected, the observer showed us he couldn't afford hallucinations even. So that means none of them actually have enough for 2 force fields.
Yes.
A little bit of a...
He's moving around on the right side. He's trying to get a full flank on this. The Zergling peeks in and sees that the whole army's mid-map. And there is some detection now. So the DT tech is it's just too expensive. He can't even risk it. You send in some DTs with that detection, and they don't do anything.
He's setting himself up to try to surround this army. I would assume as soon as it steps on creep. It's still difficult to engage Protoss forces like this normally. The natural kind of blocked off. Zerglings can't do much there, but herO's going to step forward. This is his moment.
Oh, wow.
I think this position is pretty nice for force fielding next to that hatchery and that little ravine there, though.
Sacsri's going to abandon the third.
Yeah,
I would almost like to see herO recall back. Oh, he doesn't have a mothership here. Okay, well, never mind.
That complicates things. Roaches get into the natural. Roaches trying to squeeze up that ramp into the main base, of course. Not an infinite number of force fields, though. He's basically in this base trade scenario, as it were. He's going to try to just knock everything down. Without the mothership core, you can't really go home.
herO only down 10 supply, gets in here. He's hitting before these spine crawlers can finish. Force fields off most of the army at the ramp. The natural is dead, and he is above the ramp, is our Zerg player Sacsri. So things are getting bad at home for herO. And by the way, there's the mothership core with 200 energy. That's kind of weird.
Where? I don't even know where that's.
It's inside the main. That was.
It's just chilling there.
But herO's kind of doing this. The natural's dead. He's going to walk up into the main. Are there drones outside? There's larvae, so
there's some units moving around in the center. I'm not sure if he actually has drones out. He's got a few.
God.
There are a few. He has enough money to start a hatchery.
Next thing to ask, is there overseers? Let me check the units tab. There are none right now.
No, the layer's still up. Are there any Dark Templar on the map still? There's not enough gas to warp into DT yet. He needs
that
gas.
He's
got enough. He's got enough now.
He just got enough. Is the Dark Shrine still around, or did it die? I think it died. It died.
Yeah, no Dark Shrine. Well,
if he warps in 1 DT, there's no way to make detection. He dies.
He lifts up 8 probes in this warp prism. He's like, all right, sayonara, suckers.
So weird.
We've had a lot of PvZ base trades, man.
We have.
I guess that's just kind of one of those things in PvZ that happen a lot nowadays.
And this warp prism is the MVP friend.
There's like no buildings. Sacsri built some stuff. He's got this. Okay. Whew.
He actually doesn't have enough. Inside the main with the photon overcharge.
That was scary.
The roaches are getting edged out, but even if not, the contingency plan here is great. There's probes inside the warp prism. He can just go rebuild.
Yeah, if he doesn't lose the Nexus, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, there's just not enough to do that, you're right.
He will eventually. There's enough resources there to build a couple more probes. And
Holy cow!
Yeah, I think this army comes back. I think herO, he's pretty much done it. No, I guess if he kills the Nexus, things change.
No,
he can't afford to build another
Here's one. There's no way he can lose.
Okay.
After these units that are going to be trapped in the main are dead, it's over, and the writing is on the wall. Sacsri taps out. herO survives a bonkers game. He loses the third. Guys, I'm still right on that, by the way. That was wrong. He's behind indefinitely. Goes Dark Shrine. Doesn't do anything with it because he can't. And then we get to the base trade scenario, and he just outplays the